What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Strength podcast. I'm Coach Joe Riggio here with my partner, Dan Goodman. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about marketing your gym. The $24 million question for many strength entrepreneurs around the world. What are the best ways to market your gym? How do I get new clients? And what is the best return on my investment marketing strategy?
Welcome to the Business of Strength, powered by Varsity House Gym, the podcast for strength entrepreneurs.
All right, gang, so I'm here with Dan, and we're going to talk about marketing your gym. We just wrapped up an amazing week of business mentorship. We started off last week out at Jim Jones, giving an abbreviated version of our Business of Strength mentorship. We were lucky enough that Rob and Lisa wanted us to come out and speak to the crew of their advanced seminar crew and just talk a little bit about some of the key components of running a great business gym operation. And we condensed down what probably was 2 days worth of information into like a 3-hour period, which I thought went really well. It was a lot of fun. There was some real aha moments. You can see people taking a lot of notes and stuff like that. So I think that went really good. We kind of condensed that down into like 3 real areas. We really just kind of focused on vision, marketing, and some strategic strategies within the gym. And we couldn't talk about everything. And then this past week, we just had a full mentorship here at the gym. We had another 6 individuals go through our 2-day mentorship last Thursday and Friday. We had an amazing time. It's such an amazing experience to be able to I feel like it's a renewed experience for me because it's so cool to be able to see people that were doing exactly what we were doing years ago, and have
it's motivating too.
It's great. You see that light bulb go off when you're talking about something so simple or something that we maybe take for granted at this point in our business life cycle, and it's like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? And it makes it such a huge change in their business.
But it's not even that long ago for us, right? Like we're talking about things that breakthroughs that we might have had in 2012, 2013. And you just see with, a diligent approach to getting better every day, every 365 days every year, for our business now compared to where it was even last year, it's like, you could really help people make some breakthroughs. And it's definitely humbling to work with people, not only in our local demographic, but, to know that we're making an impact. We had an attendee from South Africa, obviously Rabs, Ryan Ablett's here with us. He's from Australia. We had Texas, Canada. It's, when we finished the day and I called you on the way home, it's like, dude, holy shit, man! We have people
really cool.
from all over the world coming to. Again, we talk about in the podcast
to the dirty
before,
Jersey,
to dirty Jersey, where the weather's been freaking beautiful the last couple of days, but to our garage gym. And I know it's not a garage gym anymore, but in my head, that's still what it is.
It'll always be a garage gym. I mean, when I think about Varsity House and when I dream about Varsity House, I still dream about that shithole in Northfield that we had, and that was kind of like, that's what it was. That's how, I think that's what makes us a little bit successful now, is that because we still have that underdog mentality and we're always trying to work harder and work at the best we can to keep the gym moving forward and never really settle. But I just want to thank everybody, thank the people at Jim Jones, all the attendees, Bobby Maximus, Lisa Maximus,
Jake.
Lisa Bouchard, Jake, and everybody that made that possible. I really appreciate that very much. And all the people that were here this past week with us at our Business of Strength 2-day mentorship, thank you very much for allowing us to have play a small role in your development and be part of your life. So we really appreciate that. When it comes to marketing, this is always like the $24 million question for a lot of strength entrepreneurs. It's real easy to get wrapped up in the training and what's going on the gym floor. And then, at the end of a 12-hour day, when you've worked yourself to the bone, it's like, okay, great. Now I'm going to sit down and write email copy. Now I'm going to sit down and worry about my social media post. Or now I'm going to sit down and create a marketing calendar for the next year.
And having a real plan.
And having a real plan almost a lot of times becomes like secondary, and we saw that quite a bit this past week, where if people didn't have they were doing stuff, but it was all kind of random,
totally reactive. I mean, just speaking candidly about this past weekend, and I ask a lot of strength entrepreneurs, what are you doing proactively to market your gym? And this past weekend, it was nothing. I mean, people are working in their gym, and they're definitely doing their posts. They're sending few and far between emails. They're getting out into their community, but there's nothing specific that's on the calendar that's, making sure that they're creating leads that turn to referrals and getting people to come and actually get asses in the seats at their gym.
So depending on where you are in your business life cycle can definitely influence your marketing strategy. Like I would say, that we have a different marketing strategy than like a new gym. If you're a new gym, for example, clients are king and you got to get leads and you got to get out in your community, and it's really a lot more about driving traffic to your facility. Whereas if maybe you're a well-established business like us, your goals and needs might be a little different, and the volume of actual foot traffic getting to your gym is not quite as important. It might be looking for more niche clientele, the right clientele, and or branching out into other areas of the fitness business like we have with the podcast and the Strength Entrepreneurs mentorships and things like that. So I'm just going to break down like we have 5 simple rules for marketing, and it really just again, it's like everything else in business. It comes down to a process. So we said this multiple times this past Thursday and Friday, is that we don't think for any reason at all that we have the best process, but we have a process. And since you only get paid for getting shit done and what you get done, getting it out of your head and onto paper into some form of a process, and creating a marketing calendar, maybe a social media schedule, and just deciding which areas of marketing work best for you that you can do consistently and systematically, is better than doing nothing, right? So no matter what it is, no matter what you like to do, take what you will out of this podcast, and then pick one thing and go out there and just get it done and make it happen. But follow some of these simple rules. So number 1 is keep it simple. Marketing doesn't have to involve hiring a giant firm and spending thousands of dollars. You can stick to things that you're good at. And if you're a good writer, write a newsletter. Maybe you're a would-be photographer and you're really great at taking some awesome pictures in your gym, so you can use your photography as like a way to drive traffic and use cool pictures and videos on your website.
You could use this podcast as an example where, Joe and I, we do this once a month because right now the gym still takes up so much of our obligations from a time standpoint that we only feel as if at this point we could put out one per month, one that's quality and that we're really giving out quality information that's actionable, and we're not trying to force anything. We're just keeping it simple. We're staying consistent and true to what we can do, and not taking away from what's making us money at this point.
Right, and I think our listeners and our followers are better served because of it, because once a month we could put a good product out that we worked hard on, that we well defined the process. We have all of our podcast notes, we made our show notes, we did our outline, we met us several times to talk about what we were going to go over, and it was much more well thought out, as opposed to, hey, we got to get 2 podcasts done this week and we're just cramming it down their throats and they're kind of crappy, so you're better off keeping it simple, keeping it small, and keeping it good, as opposed to just churning out a bunch of crap all the time. So our second rule is know who you're marketing to. And we've talked a lot about defining your ideal client. We talked quite a bit about that when we did our vision planning. And if you don't know who your ideal client is, that's probably something that you should work on long before you start marketing, because if you don't know who your ideal client is, you just kind of shotgun marketing out to everybody. And so like if you're like us, whose ideal client, was always, athletes, their families, and the health conscious community, and that meant that athletes were our number one concern. But if you're gonna, if you're a general pop gym, you have to know who's coming in and who's doing what, and you might not want to send maybe like our general pop fitness people here don't want to read the article about in-season football training and things like that. So kind of knowing what you're marketing to and making sure you niche down your marketing efforts to each specific group.
I think you just said it perfectly, too, where you're niching down to one market. But if you take our business back to 2006, before I was ever even involved, and even into 2009, we were looking for high school strength and conditioning athletes, power athletes, and that is full on it.
And most 90% of them it was football and wrestling too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So once you and I built a trust with that demographic of client, and they were getting extremely good results, and treated with the ultimate level of customer service, that's when parents were knocking on the door saying, hey, look, like I saw what happened with, John Smith. I want to train here. Right. And then you had the former, the Franks of the world, the Lance, the Brad and the Greg Gillen and a lot of men that used to be collegiate athletes that got in the door, and then their wives, and then it just exploded to where everybody wanted to start training here. But the number one thing when adults came in and GPP clients came in here, everybody knew what we were all about. You know what I mean? We weren't trying to sell them something that we weren't, but they wanted to be involved in it.
Even today, I mean, we bill our adult programs as a varsity fit, which is basically a scaled down version of our athletic training plans designed and scaled for the adult athletes. So there's almost no difference between how our adults train and how our athletes train, except for weight, load, volume, things like that, obviously. But removal, a little bit more concerned with injury prevention for the older population and stuff. But our third rule is just to be consistent. So one of the things that we saw over the last week, talking to strength entrepreneurs out in Utah, Jim Jones, and then this past weekend here, was that I do a little bit of this, I do a little bit of that. Oh, do you do a newsletter? Oh, I've done a couple. So no real consistency, and you have to think about being consistent as being a way to attract people to a specific type of marketing. So look at look at Monday Night Football, right? It's on at 8:30 East Coast time around the world. Millions of people all over tune in for Monday Night Football at 8:30 and know that it's going to be. If they move Monday Night Football to like 7 p.m., it would like mess everybody up, right? Because everybody knows, like, I get home from work at 7, I got an hour to get ready, boom, there's Monday Night Football starts at 8:30 p.m. So coming out with a newsletter the first of every month or whatever day you pick, but it's super consistent, and you spend time working on it, and your readers and followers in your community within your gym start to look forward to reading that material and starting to look for it.
Yeah, definitely. The thing when we speak and consult with some strength entrepreneurs, when they're putting that piece of content out, I think a lot of people are like, it doesn't matter if I put it out on this day or this different time because I only have 5 people looking at it. Well, shit, like those 5 people need to become your number one fans where they absolutely can't wait for it, because still with content generation and sharing, and even in the gym, what are we always working towards? Referrals. So if you have one person that's waiting and you don't deliver, you've lost them as a fan, and now you have no fans. So if you have 1, 5, 10, 20 people, if you have 100 followers on Instagram and you tell somebody it's coming out on the first Monday of every month, well, shit, get that done. Yeah. Those people are waiting for it, and if you're consistent, time and time again, we see it. You see the growth, the organic growth process where it's eventually going to be something that you hoped it to be.
Well, I mean, what do we preach in training? I mean, consistency. It's like, hey, I'd rather have a kid who works really hard 3 days a week, year round, year after year after year. You're going to see that, that slow, steady churn. It's just going to get better and better and better and better, as opposed to a kid who comes in every summer only and just like crushes it 4 or 5 days a week, gets in real, gets a great 2-3 months of training, and then is, kind of falling off, gone for the rest of the year and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, 3-4 years down the road, the consistent person's going to be the one who's going to pull ahead. And the same thing is true in business. And you look at I know we're doing a whole thing on branding, and you've done the articles on like Starbucks and McDonald's and things like that. But the reason why those companies are where they are is because their branding, marketing, campaigns and everything are super consistent, and they're always done with a specific theme to a specific market at specific times, and it very rarely falters. So if you're used to, I mean, you could just pick something off the top of your head. You look at like beer commercials. When you watch the Super Bowl, you know that there's going to be Budweiser commercials and stuff like that, and they're super consistent with the market that they're going after for their branding and so forth. Our fourth rule is always provide service and value. You know, people love free stuff, so you got to give it to them. You know, like this podcast. You know, if you want people to view you as an expert, even in your local community. Now, our goals might be different. We're trying to conquer the world, but you know, we're trying to be world leaders in strength and conditioning. So we're putting a lot of information out to the world and trying to help other strength entrepreneurs. But even if you're just trying to be the best gym in your town, wherever that might be, you want to position yourself as an expert. You want to position yourself as the go-to trainer, coach, nutritionist, mentor,
that's
yoga
how you're
studio.
Making money.
Right, that's how you're making money. So give people what they want. Free recipes. Your newsletter could be anything. Could be free recipes. Could be workout tips. Could be, like we've done a bunch of times, vacation workouts and things that just add fun value to the community.
What's going to differentiate you in a town where there's 10 gyms and 200 personal trainers if nobody puts any free information out? I mean, let's be serious in terms of strength and conditioning. Nobody's reinventing the wheel. You know, you're putting it together, your training systems, and the social experience and the customer experience is what's going to differentiate you from the next person. So you have to let people in the community know what your personality is all about, what type of training system you're putting out, and it just needs to be – that's what's going to solidify you, like Joe said, as the expert in your local demographic. I'm much more concerned still to this day about how people view Varsity House within 5 square miles of Orangeburg than I am with the entire world.
Yeah, no
because
question.
It's still how we make 90% of our money.
Yeah, our number one revenue stream is clients coming to the gym. That's it. So, I mean, you want to consistently provide service and value, and we'll break that down a little bit in some of the marketing stuff that we get into. But, you want to give people taste of your knowledge, right? Knowledge is power. People pay for knowledge. I mean, people pay $30,000 for a half a day with Tony Robbins to go sit with Tony Robbins for a couple hours for lunch, and they're going to pay him $30,000,
we were just quoted a mastermind group for $40,000. That's $40,000
for like a 2-day retreat.
It's 3 days. It's 3 weekends for the year. $40,000.
$40,000, right? So, and that's basically just paying to be able to interface with other knowledgeable strength entrepreneurs.
Straight knowledge and networking.
So if you give people free stuff in your community, and let's say whether you're a regular box gym, maybe you're a yoga studio or whatever, and it's stuff on stress management, 5 better ways to sleep better, how to stay skinny on vacation, things like that. All those little things add up, and people start to see that, and you'd be surprised at how fast things like that can catch fire in your community. You get a couple influencers in your community that download a pamphlet on a workout or losing weight or something like that, or toning up your butt, whatever it might be, and that gets passed around. Next thing you know, you got 4 or 5 women coming to the gym and be like, hey, my friend had this great program that you guys put out. So all that makes a big impact. And last but not least is everything that you do marketing, the number one thing should be trying to create real relationships, trying to find ways to get in front of real people and connect with real people. And nothing will ever replace a solid foundation of relationships you build inside your gym. So you have to focus a lot of your marketing effort to the people you already have in the gym. So if you're a young gym or a relative, let's call it a novice gym, and you've been open for a little bit and you got this handful of clients that are already there, they're already spending money, they already believe in your product, those are the people that I'm going to spend a lot of time and effort marketing to.
Look at Lee from EndurLab. Lee Hargrave out in Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas area. He owns and operates EndurLab. We spent the last 2 days talking to him. He's got a great business model. They're very profitable. He's 5 years into business, and they're doing very well.
Yep.
The one thing we talked to him about was he needed to reinvest in his community and worry solely about referrals to generate leads. That's it. He's doing no referral competitions. No. He's doing no re-engagement with his community, and I think that his business is going to absolutely take off when he starts doing those things.
Yeah, because he's running a tight ship operationally, so it's just for him, it was just a matter of retweaking some of his marketing plan to get those new customers in the door.
Also, too, I know you and I are both big fans of another Jersey guy, Jay Ferrugia, Renegade Strength Show.
Big time.
And if he ever listens to this show, Jay, we want to be on your podcast. But he just posted about it, and in his last podcast, he was discussing with strength entrepreneurs that 75%, according to him, 75% of all business is determined by one thing, and that's the social experience and the relationships that you build with your current clientele.
Well, I mean, if you listen to Jay's podcast, and Jay's way better at podcasting than we are. We got a long way to go before we get to his level. But he talks a ton about experience and relationships. I mean, in life, what else is there? And he talks about how he changed his entire life and his entire demeanor and his approach to building relationships with people, and how he's changed his whole mindset towards, you know, making friends, retaining those friends, and coddling those friends, and making sure.
It's pretty cool when you hear somebody that's as
that's awesome.
Developed as he has become in terms of business development, and, you know, almost redefining himself at definitely a later.
And we had,
age.
I mean, this past Saturday we had a gym-wide, let's call it client appreciation barbecue here at Varsity House, and we had our whole staff, and we invited, you know, the entire adult community, 21 and up. We had some booze and everything like that. We had a great time, and I've already had like multiple people since Saturday text me, email me. You know, as soon as I walked in the door this morning, Gwen was like, "I had so much fun. It was great. Everybody's so awesome."
I had so much fun.
I had a blast. We had a great time. We were playing cornhole, playing frisbee. You know, it's just a chance to connect on a different level.
Beer
and
pong.
obviously, right? Yeah, exactly, exactly. A little beer pong. You know, did a couple shot. Might have done a shotgun or two. You know, and it just gives the opportunity to connect with your community. And, you know, when you're not coaching a class, people just talk to you differently. Like, everybody's dressed up, everybody comes ready to hang out, and it's just a different vibe.
That barrier between coach and client is removed a little bit when our wives are here, our families are here.
Yeah.
It humanizes you a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
It honestly does. It's
Absolutely.
weird. It's like when you used to see your teacher, like you'd see your teacher at the supermarket, you're like, holy shit, you actually leave school? It's it's weird, you know. And it's the same thing with us.
Absolutely. So we're going to focus on the three things that I think are the most important to driving real traffic to a gym. So, you know, we're not going to talk a lot about social media, and not that it's not important, and Dan will touch on it a little bit, but I think people place too much emphasis on social media, and social media in the realm of getting clients to your gym is a very macro way of thinking. And it's like, you know, you could lose a lot of marketing time and effort out to the internet, you know, and just focusing on your social media. And, you know, one of the things that we saw, or we have seen or continue to see with a lot of strength entrepreneurs, is that they solely focus on their social media, and it's posting, you know, pictures of themselves working out. You know, I'm deadlifting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's them crushing themselves in the gym, and there's not a lot of stuff that's really showing people who are potential clients about you as the coach, about your community, about your gym as being an epicenter of fun, knowledge, and community. It's oh, that guy works out like an animal. That's great. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that type of stuff going on the internet, and I think people, you know, fail to use social media in a way that is consistent with their brand and the image that they're trying to portray with their brand. There, a lot of times there's a disconnect. So for most new gyms, and let's call it new to novice, those are people that are, you know, 5 years and under, you're getting your gym going. Leads are still one of the most important aspects of your business. You got to get a certain amount of leads to convert to a certain amount of clients, and that's going to be done using our three favorite ways, and that's one, a newsletter, right? And I'll have Dan break that down in a second. Two, community outreach and getting out in your community. And again, nothing's going to give you a better opportunity to build some of those relationships than to actually get out and try and make some relationships and get out in your community. And then three, referrals. If you already have clients, you need to get more clients from them. You know, you need to ask for referrals and get the clients that you already have, who already love you and already, you know, patronize your business, to bring some of their friends, family members, and coworkers to your gym. So I'll let Dan take it over a little bit with the marketing newsletter and talk about how the newsletter has been such an important part of growing our gym, especially in the last year and a half since we really made a point to systemize it and get it locked down. And now, for the last 18 months or so, the newsletter has been one of our consistent forms of marketing that has driven a lot of traffic to the gym. So,
I mean, I want to talk just a bit about social media, and I'll interloop it here with how it affects our newsletter. But like Joe said, I mean, social media for us is definitely secondary. We use it. We're definitely active. There's certain forms of social media that we don't use at all, just because my comfort level and Trevor's comfort level and just our whole staff, Snapchat might be great for junior high athletes and high school athletes. We don't use it. It's just something that we don't feel that comfortable with, and so we don't do it at all. We don't try to dabble with it and waste time with it. Years ago when we worked with Ryan Lee, he had us do a time assessment of our time on our cell phones and what we were doing before we met with him. And cumulatively, with our advisory board, we were spending an insane amount of time just bullshitting within social media and not really getting much traction with it at all.
So hours a day.
Hours. So, I think the one thing, if you're just looking at your own social media, what are you doing with it? Who are you? What are you doing? Where can I find you? And why should I train or work with you? And if you can't answer those questions in the last 10 posts, you need to reassess why you are posting. Is it for vanity? Are you trying to make friends? What are you trying to do on social media? And for us on Instagram, we want to be very clear with who we train, why we train them, where we're located, and how you can find us. Sure. And for social media, that's our number one goal. If we get more followers from it, then great. If we just have a really a nice stronghold on our local community, that's even better, because like we said before, the majority of our income comes from the 5 miles that surrounds this gym. So what we look for with social media is we'll try and generate opt-ins of free information. You want to read our free information? Click the link in the bio, give us your email, and that leads us to our next point of how our newsletter is so effective for generating qualified leads to buy programs at Varsity House Gym. So what we'll do with the newsletter, and we've always used email. We always knew that email was important way back from the start. We would always, if you're going to come train here, you're going to fill out our waiver, and you're going to give us your email.
Even when I had my first place, the only way I really communicate with people was through email, but it was just super haphazard and all over the place.
Definitely. And then, I came on board, and I was, marketing director. So it was, holy shit, we need more money. Send an email to all the athletes, send an email to all the adults, send an email to all the coaches, and it was just a bombardment.
Join by.
It was a bombardment of emails that was just hard selling.
Yeah.
Where there was no,
no free information.
No free information. It's like there was no infotainment. It was like, why the hell should I, why should I read this? I just know it was just pretty much a payment reminder, maybe with a cool picture, a cool quote. There was no tone behind it besides really a desperation tone that, hey, we need money. So then
exclamation points.
Right. And then
pay your bill.
Right. Then once we started getting money in, then we really stopped emailing consistently at all.
Yeah.
And that's not good either. So we decided about 2 years ago that we were going to start a newsletter, and that we were going to do a newsletter featuring our coaches and featuring the clients that come to this gym, whether it's, a professional athlete all the way to spotlighting a 7th grade female athlete that just won a tennis tournament. Didn't matter. We would vote on it in our team meetings as to who we felt like should be nominated for a newsletter. It could have been, how great the open enrollment period went. We're showing graphs of the improvement of the groups. Right. It could be anything. But what we did was we mapped out a mission of 12 headers, 12 titles, and then it was plug and play depending on what was actually happening in the gym. Now, what we did was we task forced it out. So that's 12 newsletters. We've got nearly 10 coaches.
Right, and just to touch on that, so like if you're going to set up your year from January all the way through December, and just come up with some topics and be smart about, think about the year. You got a, New Year, New You email that comes out. It's everything about setting yourself up for success for the new year. It's, maybe in May, it's like, hey, are you ready for summer type deal? And it's, getting ready for summer. And fall football review if you're a sports performance athlete.
Speaking of that, our nutritionist Simone Letta, she does January's and she does May's because it's people trying to kick it into high gear. So we're giving them free information and content. Where we released her ab program in January,
and there's new recipes and nutrition stuff.
And then in May it was all about the summer detox, the cleanse.
Yep.
So. And free information on how to lose those unwanted pounds.
Yeah, and if you just set up that yearly calendar, you do 12 titles, and then if you're by yourself, you'll take a little bit of time, but we divvy it up amongst the coaches.
Right. And so we divvy it up amongst the coaches, and we also give them ample time. So Adams is this September, and the goal of his was routine. Obviously, people are going back to school,
right?
And we're trying to subliminally let everybody know that routines and, again, consistency is the key to success. So
get your ass back to the gym.
Right. So obviously we have open enrollment starting in September, and we also are going to start our pre-sale of 6-week transformation. So instead of hard selling both, hard selling both of those products, we're gonna have Adam talk about the importance of the routine and not just bullshitting people. Where he knew he was going to be writing this article for September, he knew months ago that he was going to have to do that. So we talked about, hey man, we got to keep real close data on your summer training groups, and I want hard data on the people that were extremely consistent and the people that were not so consistent. And I want to compare and contrast, not using any names, but the results of Group A and Group B. Because if I could see that as a parent, it's like, wow, those numbers don't lie. I mean, we're not making it up. So, obviously for Adam, he was able to get some numerical data. He was able to collect his thoughts, and he was able to write something that
had some meaning.
Some meaning and is truly informational, and something that we're proud to promote also on our website. So for our coaching staff, he gets the exposure of the post on social media, the exposure of the post on our website, the exposure of our email to over 10,000 people, and he's getting paid. So I think every coach's dream is to get featured in Men's Health or, on Elite FTS or wherever it may be, and be paid to do it nonetheless. So we created that sense of urgency amongst our own coaching staff to say, hey, you know what? This information is worth value to our business. And once we started doing that and empowering our coaches to do that, it was game over. Our retention rate, our open rate, our getting people to do things within the email.
Well, I think too, in terms of people's attention span and wanting to open the email and read the email, if you give them cool information to read, they're more likely to read it. It's like listening to a podcast or listening to, I don't know, the Howard Stern show. It was entertainment, Definitely. So it's like you're getting some value. But if every time you open up an email and it's a buy this, buy that, sell this, buy that, you're gonna stop. You're gonna stop looking at that crap. So also, you can, in a sense, creatively, you can give tons of information and soft sell. Obviously, it's about commitment, it's about consistency, it's about the routine, and just so fall open enrollment begins.
There's
Let's
always
get back
a call
to the routine.
Action, right?
So gotta be.
With the newsletter, there's always it's infotainment and then some sort of call to action. Now, the call to action half the year is free. It's totally free. We just want them to click on the new program. It could be a setup for a future program, but there's always some action where we want people to click through
you have to direct people.
And direct people to some sort of a squeeze page. It's also, like we said, it's infotainment where it's some type of storytelling about what's happening in our space, and it's also directed towards certain readers. So there are months where it will be reader-centric, if you will. So we might produce
athletes, adults,
exactly. So
weight loss clients versus strength athletes.
So with the newsletter, yes, we only produce one per month, but there could be two variations. So maybe just the header is slightly different, or the call to action is slightly different, and then it's sent independently to both lists. So if you guys don't have a list at all, we use MailChimp. And that's really helped us. I mean, Trevor and I sat down, and it sucked having to go backwards and classify people according to groups. So if you're just starting that, classify people into groups, because it doesn't matter if you are only training 50 people right now. What happens in 5 years when you've had 5,000 people come through your gym?
Yeah.
And it's amazing with the newsletter, too, of re-engagement from old clients.
So, yeah, what's great about the newsletter, and is that it can kind of be anything you want it to be.
Exactly.
And you could be as creative as you want. It could be a lengthy piece on training and something that's very detailed. It could be something short and quick that's just a reminder.
It could be a video.
Could be a video. So again, going backwards, what we were talking about, like keep it simple and keep it consistent. So again, if you're the photographer guy who loves to take pictures, well, why wouldn't you put out a newsletter every month that has a bunch of awesome pictures of your community and the people in your gym working out, and maybe just spotlight a workout that you did, spotlight a member in your community, have a adult of the month every month, and that's your spotlight, that's your newsletter. And it's just like,
Definitely.
hey, here's Dan Goodman, look at Dan deadlifting and the results he's had over the last month,
That's
blah
it.
blah blah. And
That
it could be
takes
super simple,
10
just a great picture of Dan deadlifting, and that could take you 10-15 minutes to put that newsletter together. So, and then as your business kind of evolves, your newsletter can evolve.
Yeah.
And you can then start. What's great about the newsletter, one of the things that I talked about during our mentorship last week was like, social media can't be segregated, right? So like when I put a post on Instagram, it goes to everybody who follows me on Instagram.
Exactly.
So when I put a business, so one of the problems that you have is that, like me, Coach Joe Strong, on Instagram, when I put a business of strength post out, right, and I'm like, hey, strength entrepreneurs, we're running our 2-day mentorship, blah, 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 there's a certain group of people that might want to see that, right? But then there's also people that might be friends with me on Instagram that are looking for workout stuff, and they're looking for like, hey, I just want to see you guys doing sick shit with your athletes, like,
Or already just train here, and they don't give a shit.
They don't care. Yeah, they just a 14-year-old high school kid doesn't care about our business mentorship necessarily.
He wants to see you post a picture of him.
Right. So, but the newsletter, you can segregate out to the 10th degree, and I could have males, females, ages, demographics, locations, and maybe I just want to send a newsletter to everybody in Texas. I can send out, so the more you kind of detail and segregate your newsletter from the beginning, the easier it'll be down the road. Definitely. When you do have a big set of fans and you want to start sending out like unique information to each specific group. And the last example on that was just how we kind of segregated. Like we do send out other information. So our newsletters once a month, but because we've segregated out our list so much over the last 2 years, now when I want to send out an email to just females for weight loss stuff, I can pull that list up and I say, hey, let me pull up all our female clientele, and it makes it super easy for me to do that.
Right. We're gonna share. I know Trevor's going to share our exact marketing calendar from August, but we sent 7 emails in August.
Yeah.
But only one went to the entire list, and that was the newsletter. So I want to talk quickly before we move on about the design of the newsletter. And I'm not going to get into copywriting. We've spent a lot of time and money to develop as copywriters, but one thing's for certain.
And we still stink, I think, but we're doing better.
Yeah. I mean, one thing's for certain is that it can't be pages and pages and pages of text.
You got to keep it brief.
Keep it brief, one paragraph. There needs to be an image. And then if you do have a lot to say, redirect the people that want to see that towards your website or towards your landing page where...
Yeah, to a blog or something like that where you can write all you want.
You could see who's actually really interested, and maybe that becomes your specific
focus
strength
group,
and conditioning focus group. So you could get very creative with that. But so real quick again on design, it's give them give them a taste, give them a picture, and then call to action. So it cannot be pages and pages and pages of text. That's the best advice I could give you if you do decide to do a text-based newsletter.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, like, keeping it short and sweet, making it visual centric, because you remember most people are going to be checking stuff on their phones or their iPads.
Ours is 65% mobile.
Storytelling is always better. Anytime we've put out a newsletter or email or even a social media post that was like about a real story, like again, I'm writing a follow-up about what we did this past week with the Business of Strength and telling a story, as opposed to just like, this is the X's and O's of training. People want to hear that, hey, this past summer I had this amazing opportunity to work with these pro athletes, and here's what we were doing all summer.
Definitely.
People get tuned in more to the story much more than they do just kind of X's and O's. I would also say, keep it reader-centric or reader-focused. You got to remember that, again, I'm putting information out about people. Your newsletter shouldn't be a constant sales review or talking about yourself. Like an email shouldn't be like, Varsity House Gym is this, Varsity House Gym is that, Coach Joe is this, Coach Dan is this. You know what I mean? No, it's about the people we work with. It's about the athletes we have. It's about the strength entrepreneurs who's come through our mentorship. And then, like Dan said, if I'm trying to get those people who open my newsletter to some specific area, like maybe I do want them to read this 10-page article I wrote on strength and conditioning for high school athletes.
You might only get 20 people to do that.
Right. Then there's going to be a link that's going to lead them to a landing page or a blog or something where all that writing is going to be. But I'm not going to put all that writing on the newsletter. The newsletter is going to be, if you're interested in more information or you'd like to read about our full summer training program, click the link here and blah, 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 and that'll take you to some page, right? You always have to call to action. So whether the call to action is like, hey, click this, or hey, buy this, or hey, sign up for this, there should be something, right? And every email, no matter what, even if you're not selling anything, you're read this, click this, follow this, share this, and whatever it might be, whatever you want them to do. But tell people exactly what you want them to do in big, bold letters, in an easy-to-read format. And it should be very simple. It shouldn't be like hieroglyphics trying to figure out what you want from your newsletter. And I think, we talked to some of the people this past week about that. Like, if you send me a newsletter, and it's 3-4 pages of writing, there's multiple links to click on. Some of those links maybe take me back to your website. One of them takes me to a sales page. Another one takes me to a landing page, right? There's, in a sense, confusion as to what exactly you want me to do. So if I kept it visual, I kept it short, and it was like, hey, if you'd like to read about our summer training program, click here. That's it.
Right.
And that way it leads me to exactly what I want to read. And if I'm somebody who's interested, if you're trying to sell a program to a demographic of, let's call it strength and conditioning coaches or something like that, and it's like click to here, then those are the people that are going to click through. And then maybe on your newsletter, if you sent that newsletter out to your general population list, and maybe the regular gym dad or gym mom that doesn't want to read that says, oh, that's great, they're doing a lot of great stuff, but I don't need to read that entire article.
Right.
That's it. And then last, like Dan talked about, is just design. It's got to look cool. It's got to be visual. You have to remember that, and I get a lot of newsletters from a lot of people, and unless you're a high-level entrepreneur and you're this high-level guru coach who I'm going to take the time to read like a lengthy email that's going to be infomatic style, where there's going to be a lot of information. I know like Pat Rigsby sends some of those, and Ryan Lee always sends like a written email, but they're usually pretty short and sweet and to the point, and like less than 5 minutes to read. It's got to be something that people can look through on their phone. You got to remember where people are going to look at that stuff, and especially when it comes to providing entertainment and value and service. If I'm going to put out something on training, right, and maybe it's like, hey, my top 5 exercises for building killer abs, probably better to put a bunch of pictures or a video than it is to just like write it out. You know what I mean? Definitely. So like, you know, because people are going to scroll through that quick. And how are most people going to do it? If I saw an article that's like, you know, 5 best exercises for getting killer abs, right? I'm probably going to be some gym person at the gym. I'm going to pull that email up and I'm going to watch those emails right now. And I'm basically going to like, what can I do right now? Oh, that's a cool one. I'll do that right now. Oh, that's a cool one. But if I got to sit there and read it, and it just goes to the bottom of the scrap pile because emails, you know, how many emails are everybody getting a day? I'm getting, you know, dozens of emails a day, you know, so that's our number one form of marketing is our newsletter. It allows us to be super creative. It allows us to for our coaches to be creative and have a voice within the community as well. You can tailor the emails to any demographic or any list, right? You can start to segregate those lists. So as you grow as a company, your list grows and can get subdivided further and further and further. And it's just super flexible. And last but not least, we didn't say this at all, is that the email isn't going anywhere, right? Email is still a direct form of communication that you control 100%. And as creative and awesome as you make it is as creative and awesome it will become. Right. Where the social media is really great right now, but maybe in the next 2 years, Instagram decides that they want to do something different. And they move into a different market. They start scaling how they're doing their social media. Now maybe paid ads are totally different.
Look at Snapchat. Like I just was reading that the Snapchat users is down like almost 40%.
Yeah,
like overnight.
It could be gone. It could be gone. You know, or they'll just get bought up by like maybe Instagram buys Snapchat and takes some of their proprietary technology and just integrates it into their own version of Snap, which is kind of what they're doing with their stories and stuff like that. So you never know where social media is going or where it's changing and how it's going. It's a tool. It's not the end all. And you know, and you look at like
how it's going to be regulated. I mean, look at Facebook now. If you want real eyes, like, you have to pay for it.
Yeah, and if you take a video in your gym, a live video, and it's got a song in the background, like they block it. You won't even play on your feed. So you know, for copywriting and stuff like that. And it's only a matter of time. Like I was saying, I saw a lot of people live streaming the Mayweather fight this past weekend, and it'll only be a matter of time before they're even able to block stuff like that too. So if you're live streaming something and there's a song in the background or a TV playing in the background, like that video won't be allowed to get posted. So the newsletter. I'm always under the idea that if I can control it, why wouldn't I? If I can make it the way I want it to be and do exactly what I want to do, then that's going to be my number one form. Okay, our number two form, our number two most important marketing strategy is community outreach. And I would say in the beginning, this was the one we focused the most on when we were first opening our 100%. New business. And it seemed intuitive to me, Dan, like that. I don't know, if I'm opening up a small gym business in a relatively small town community, that I'm going to get out in the community and I'm going to meet, the coaches. Now, we were only dealing with athletes at that time, so I was going to all the games. I would post up at, like, the junior football practice, the junior baseball practices, the high school games and things like that. But I remember distinctly me and you going around with some Bush League-ass freaking brochures and some crappy-ass flyers that we made ourselves long before Trevor was around, and even before Trevor's game stepped up, too. And it was like, we used to put out, but we didn't. We went business to business, door to door. How you doing? And I remember going into a couple places, and we'd go into like a nail salon, and it'd be a bunch of Korean ladies in there, like, you want to come work out? And they'd be like staring at us like we had three heads. I'd be like, okay, thanks, nice meeting you, everybody. And it would be like we walk out the door. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see what happens or whatever. But it didn't matter. We just go. Didn't matter. Starbucks, every deli. That's how the relationship with Carol Baviello came up. That's how the relationship with Dean at Costa Famosa came up. That's how the relationship with Big John, came up. So. That's part of the reason why we started working with, Old Tapan High School and some of the kids. I was hanging around the field for one of the junior programs for years, before that even came to fruition. So
what's another thing too? I was speaking with Ryan Harmon. He's opening a new gym in the Toronto area. I was speaking with him this past weekend, and he's a Business of Strength alum, and obviously want to keep tabs on everybody. And he's opening his new spot. And something that we also did when we moved from the garage to the second gym in Old Tapan, and from the second gym in Old Tapan to here was during those few weeks that we were setting up, everybody knows one town influencer. I don't care if they're the head of the PTO. I don't care if they're an assistant football coach, if they are a freaking volunteer firefighter. I don't care. Those people are influencers. They're tied in with teams. So what did we do with those people? We gave them early access gym tour. Bring them in. Talk to them about your vision. Talk to them about the facility. Talk to them about what you see in
training
3 years.
philosophy,
the training philosophy. Everybody wants to see the new thing in town.
Yeah.
Even if it's a new restaurant. Imagine the restaurant owner said, hey, come in. I'm going to give you a tour of the kitchen and how the restaurant's going to look before it opens. Everybody wants to be that first person. I mean, think about it back to recruiting. Is when our high school athletes are getting recruited, schools bring them in. When I went to Rhode Island to be recruited, they were talking about a weight room that was going to be built that just finished last year. I've been graduated for nearly 10 years, but they were talking about it then, and that was the vision. And they were going to become, a leading power in the A10 and the CAA, and they were going to get new seats and new locker rooms. And some of the stuff happened, not all, but I was bought into the vision of what Rhode Island was to become. And they are becoming that.
Yeah.
So that could be the same thing for you in your gym, where it's like, I envision this to have 5 power racks fit out by Elite FTS. Even if you only get 2, they know, like, oh, well, they're trying to get 5.
Yeah, and you still service, value, and trust.
Exactly.
Service, value, and trust. And there's no, so I had one of our strength entrepreneur friends email me the other day, and he was just kind of asking me, like, hey, I drafted this do you have a done-for-you letter that you send out to, like, HR managers for corporations around you and blah, blah, blah? And he's like, I have the names and addresses of about 15 corporate HR managers locally. And I said, well, I would never send a letter. I would go there face to face. Like, I'm going to go and try to meet that person personally. And I'm going to, if I can, I'm going to set up a meeting.
You're going to send an email asking for the meet.
Right. Or I'm going to call the secretary and be like, hey, I'd like to meet with somebody from HR. This is what I got going on. And I'm going to try and get a face to face, because I have a way better opportunity to make a personal connection with somebody, for them to trust
100%.
me. If you're an HR person, right, and you got let's just call, I don't even know what the number might be, but let's just say you got this $10,000 budget for allocating towards fitness, lifestyle, and health for, like, your company, right? And that includes, like, maybe it's like blood testing and blood glucose testing, things like that. They do cholesterol, all the types of health and fitness initiatives, and there's a block of money there for, like, maybe gym memberships and stuff like that. So I'm gonna all of a sudden just send you $10,000 in business because you freaking
sent an email.
You sent an email to me,
a
right?
generic
and
email,
a generic email into me. So the reality is that, if I have a chance to get in front of you, then you could see my passion, then you could see my my enthusiasm for what I'm doing, and then I could sit and explain to you how we could work together and how we could work to make those fitness initiatives,
like we said before,
better for you.
75% of business and business accrual is through the social experience and through relationship building. That's number one.
Right. So the relationships are everything. You have to be able to get out in your community. We basically break it down. There's a couple things that we think that are really good. I think one of the things that, we went to every game. Like, if you're training general population people, high school and junior high school games are a good place to find a lot of parents. That's for sure. So, maybe you're a CrossFit gym or a regular box gym that just does general pop. Starting a kids class once or twice a week might not be a bad idea to get to a whole bunch of parents, and get out to some of those games. Host a charity fundraiser. Every year we've done our strongman. That was the first thing we ever did from the strongman competition, and it's a huge community event now. And now the towns, they put their own signs up at the firehouses. There's a big banner goes up across the street down in Old Tapan, and the town is almost in a sense like waiting for it. And again, when we talk about consistency and everything, it's always Father's Day weekend. It always has been.
This will be our 10th year.
This will be our 10th year. So it's like we try to keep it super consistent. And that charity fundraiser, we invite the entire community, we invite all of our athletes, we invite our entire staff, their families, and everybody, and we just have 300-400 people here show up for the day, in and out all day, and it just brings a ton of eyes to the gym. Not only is it a great cause, is it something great for the community, but it's a great way to kind of get some extra people in the gym to kind of check it out.
You have to sign in and give your email.
And you got to sign in and give your email. Don't forget to
get
your
donation.
With your donation, right? Go to town-sponsored events. Every town has a business association. Every town has a town day. Most towns have, or at least maybe a surrounding town around you, they have 5K races. They have 10Ks, triathlons, a Spartan race in your local neighborhood, whatever it might be. Get out to some of those events. Talk to people. Tell them what you do. The more you make it about yourself, the less busy you're going to be. I mean, you got to get out and tell people that, hey, I'm here. I'm XY Gym in town. I'm here to service you. I'm here to help you. I'm the go-to fitness guru in the local area. Weight loss, fat loss, strength and conditioning, athletic performance, whatever it is that you do, you got to tell people, and you got to constantly tell people, because one of the things that we always talk to our clients about is that just because you're the go-to person in your community, there's new people moving into your community all the time that don't know you. Yeah. Just like there's new people on social media all the time. The followers that I have today, they don't know my stories from a year ago. They don't remember all the stuff that I already posted. So
definitely not from 10 years ago.
Definitely not from 10 years. So if you're in a community and the bulk of your money is made from your gym and the people in your community, you have to constantly engage with that community and get out on a regular basis. And there needs to be quarterly events built into your marketing calendar, whether it's out in the community at a specific event that you're going to, like a race or a town day, or hosting an event for the community at your gym, an open gym, a nutrition seminar, a workshop, or like we said, some type of fundraiser or something like that. And another great way is to support local businesses, right? If you want the other businesses to support you, well, you probably got to go support them. This was an exact example that we used on Friday.
Which blows my mind that people, have to know
intuitive.
That. That has to be known.
Yeah, I mean, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So hey, it's no secret that we've ordered, thousands of dollars in sandwiches and food from Carol and Dean and John, right? And obviously they have great products, but it's we've ordered tons of food from these people. They all patronize the gym. They all talk about it. They all sponsor our events.
Right.
They're willing to help us because we have.
And when we have an event, they all show up with their staff. So it's we know we can make a couple phone calls to local influencers that, look at, another great example is Frank and Mary Alice at Society. I mean, they own, two businesses, Society and Meat Locker, that are huge town influencers, and they've sent all their friends, what I mean? And it's just still forever, we go and we obviously shop at their store.
If you're a general pop gym,
you have to do it.
If you're a general pop gym, right? Don't you think the local hair salon is probably a good place to get women or talk to? Wouldn't it make sense to go talk to the owner of the local hair salon and say, hey, I'll give you and your staff a 15% discount on your membership, or hey, if you set up some type of referral program with them, hey, can I put some stuff up in the gym, right? And it's a way to kind of. In a sense, ask for some help in the business. Maybe go get a haircut. Maybe send some clients up. Put a couple flyers in your gym. You have to make relationships with people in your community, and you got to think about where your ideal client is hanging out. If you're a sports performance gym like me and Dan were, then it was the games. It was every weekend me and Dan were out in the community at football games, at baseball games, at track meets, at the wrestling matches.
So even back then, I was actually
coaches go to the bar after the practice.
But also coaches clinics. So we went to the Glazier clinics. We went to the Northeast football clinic. We went to the Cresskill football clinic. We went to the Cresskill football clinic I wasn't even coaching football on a team sport level anymore. We went 5 years in a row before we actually started doing any work with Cresskill High School.
Yeah, it was just, planting the seed in a sense. And just, obviously we were there, we were getting knowledge, we're meeting coaches, we're doing our due diligence, but we knew that if we kept our faces there that consistently over time, it was only a matter of time before we were going to start, making some inroads.
Just to be known. You're just going to be known, and it's going to be known that you're there for the right reasons.
Yeah, and if you're consistent with your branding and stuff like that, after a while, these coaches are going to be like, hey, those are the Varsity House guys. They own a sports performance gym in the county here. So our last strategy is referrals, right? So we had your mailing list, community outreach, and referrals. So referrals are the absolute best way to grow your gym. Since you already have a bunch of clients it would make sense that those people have to have a friend, a family member, a coworker that would be just like them. Your existing clients are built in Salesforce, and the people that you refer these are called highly qualified leads. So the example is that if Dan's my buddy and I've been working out at this new gym that I really love, right? And I'm like, Dan, you got to check this place out. It's awesome, man. We're training. The coaches are super knowledgeable. The classes are fun. The community and all the people, all the clients that go there are awesome. Like I met a couple great dudes last week. We went out for a beer after class and blah blah blah. And Dan's like, "Oh man, that sounds awesome. Like I've been thinking about getting myself back into some training. Like maybe that'd be a great place to go." Dan is already, in a sense, made up his mind that this is the right place for him because in a sense, as his friend, I pre-qualified him to this gym. Hey, this is what it is. This is what we do. These are some of the things. Come give it a shot. If Dan says, yeah, I'll go give it a shot, he's already, in a sense, halfway there. When he comes to my gym, all I have to do is kind of like, just make sure he understands the process, understands the prices and things like that, and I kind of lead him to the right solution that's best for him. But he's almost there. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have come in the first place. Exactly. So referrals are the best way to get clients, good clients in the gym, right? You got to have a bunch of lead generation strategies that are getting clients from all over, but you should spend just as much, if not more energy on the clients you already have, right? And squeezing those clients for better services, better clients, and more people. So everything goes on a marketing calendar. You have to build in some specific referral programs into your strategies that you already have existing. So one that we like in particular, if you're like most CrossFit gyms or a good box gym like ours, you have some type of onboarding or fundamentals program. Well, why not have some type of referral program built in at the end of that where like you just give out a couple $100 gift cards to refer to a friend like we do. It's like kind of like a pay it forward. You can have that. If you run a body transformation or you run a nutrition competition of any sort, build in bring a friend. If you run a nutrition seminar, tell everybody, hey, bring anybody you want. Open door to the nutrition seminar. Bring your mom, bring your dad, bring your sister, bring a friend from work, whatever. And that'll, in a sense, allow them a taste of your stuff.
Or even the barbecue that we did this past weekend, it was open to everybody.
Yeah.
You didn't have to bring anything. You just put it out there. Any family. We had like about 7 or 8 brand new people that came in because it was low barrier. There was no commitment.
Yeah.
They got to meet us. They got to see the gym. They got to see us on a personal level.
Yep.
And I guarantee that we'll probably get at least one of those people to come and sign up for a VHU.
So, you have to ask for referrals. And, one of the things that we do, because we don't like to be like used car salesmen, so I'm not chasing people around the gym, be like, hey, you haven't referred anybody. Hey, you haven't referred anybody all day, right? So I want to make it something that's kind of passive. And we build the referral strategies into our existing programs.
And passive for them, too, right?
Yeah. Like, I want to make it easy. And remember, you got to make it simple and easy for them to refer people, too. So, our onboard, $200 gift cards when somebody graduates our onboard to pay it forward to a friend or family member so that they want to come. Like let's say Dan decided to sign up and I give him the $100 gift card. It's like, hey, give that to your wife, Dan. We'll get her going too. We'll get that to your kid. He can join one of our sports performance programs, and it's like $100 off.
And if
they
don't use it, then so what? It hasn't cost you, your business, anything.
Right.
And if they do use it, you have to think about your yearly client value. So, okay, yeah, all right, that's $100.
Big
deal. If they're going to come and they're going to spend whatever, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 over the course of the year. What's $100?
Right. I mean, look, it's your job. Once you get a client in the door, it's your job to keep them.
Of course.
And that's a whole nother podcast. We talk about experience and stuff and retention.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But you could do a bring a friend workout. We do several a year where during the middle of our transformations or our detox programs, we do a bring a friend workout. So it's the only time we allow people to just come try a workout
and for free.
For free. And we tailor a fun workout. It's part sales pitch. It's about 10 minutes of me giving a gym tour and talking about the gym. It's about a 20 to 30 minute workout, and it's about 10 or 15 minute close where I talk to them about the class schedules, how it works, signing up for our onboard. We give everybody $50 off right then on the spot if they want to sign up for one of our onboard processes or something like that. And we do those workouts a couple times a year. Right? We usually do about 4 of those. We run special events all the time. Right, we have, between our barbecues, our Christmas parties, the transformations, we have nutrition seminars, we have workshops here. We had a road ski workshop here this past summer, and we kind of open those to just about everybody. Like, hey, if you want to come, bring your friends, bring your family, stuff like that. We build in some type of referral program into that. We like the barbecue this past weekend was a referral grab bag. The first 25 people got a $100 gift card. We raffled off a free month at the gym, and so there was some fun incentives. Again, not salesy. Come for a barbecue. Come have some burgers and beer and chill out with Team VH. But hey, we gave away $2,500 gift cards. We gave away a free month. We gave away some prizes and things like that, and some opportunities for our A-list clients to pass it forward to one of their friends, who again is going to be this highly qualified lead, who's probably way more likely to wind up being an A-class member just like them than if somebody just walked in off the street. Make sure you make it easy for people to refer, right? Nothing's going to halt your referrals more than having like this convoluted and twisted referral program that you could have. You want to make sure that you make it super simple. So like we like the gift card idea. It's really easy. We like the bring a friend idea because it's really easy. It's brainless. Hey, you want to come work out? Come with me today. My gym has a free workout. Hey, here's a $100 gift card. I got it when I signed up for my gym membership to pay it forward. If you want to check the gym out, here's $100 off your service. Makes it brainless, right? So it's not like, hey, I want a referral competition, but you have to hashtag Varsity House, post 5 times, right, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And, that was just crazy, So and the last but not least here with referrals is we tell our clients what we want them to tell their friends. When we give away gift cards, when we give away our grab bags, we usually give it to them with like a little card that says everything right in it. It's like, hey, you thank you so much for being a friend of one of our team members. We'd love to meet you. Come check out our gym type of deal. And you kind of preempt them. So like your client doesn't have to sit there and try and regurgitate information about your gym, right? So I give them all the tools that they need. Or we have our media packets. It's like I'll give them the $100 gift card, give them a packet. Hey, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I have a friend that's thinking about coming, here's a media packet with all the information about the gym. Here's a $100 gift card. Send them to me. Have them contact me. I'll take care of it. So you can't expect your clients to sit there and be like, well, Coach Joe graduated college in 2003 with a master's degree and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And like tell my story about how and why I'm a great coach and why clients should come train with me. So that's our take on referrals. One other thing that we like to do too, that's kind of another cool passive referral, and we could kind of build this out a little bit maybe in another podcast, is our check-in for charity that we do. And that's like a real passive referral. So check in for charity real quick is just like pick a charity and have clients check into your gym and donate in their name. So if, maybe it's 10 cents, maybe it's 25 cents. And every time a client donates every time a client comes into your gym, they check in via Facebook. And now all their friends on Facebook can see that they've been coming to your gym. And it's like a real passive kind of referral system where it's like, Definitely. Wow, hey, Dan's been working out at Varsity House Gym. Check out those pictures and post. And check that place out. Maybe I'm a 30-year-old washed up meathead football player, and I want to come back to working out.
You do it for a definitive time period. It could be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and you literally just announce it to every class. You put up a poster in your gym telling everybody who you're donating to, why you're donating to them, and like we said, we could definitely build that out in another podcast and show that in some show notes on how we execute that and when and why we do it.
Right. So that's going to wrap it up for today, gang. So our three main marketing strategies here at Varsity House are our newsletter, our community outreach, and our referral programs. Just like anything else in business, you want to structure those as much as you can, systemize them, get them locked in on your yearly marketing calendar, and pick specific times of the year where you think they're going to have a high value of return. Referrals and newsletter stuff for New Year's, summer coming, back to school. Those are all times of the year when there's a real cachet that you can kind of capitalize on. Create some cool emails and execute and just get them done. And remember, whatever it is that you stick to, keep it simple, stupid, and keep it consistent. And watch the leads start coming in. Right?
We hope done.
Get her done. We hope you like this episode of the Business of Strength podcast. If you want more information about joining one of our mentorships, you can check us out at strengthentrepreneurs.com. In one of our 2-day mentorships, we have our next mentorship coming up in December. We have another one in London, and the 2018 schedule will be out soon. Check it out. See you soon.
Peace out.
The Business of Strength, powered by Varsity House Gym. Turn your passion into your profession and learn how to run a world-class business. Be sure to visit us at www.strengthentrepreneurs.com to learn more. And as always, at varsityhousegym.com. Become unstoppable.